All right, so I'm super excited to share with you guys the algo trading as a side hustle for funded accounts. But before we begin, of course, this presentation is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Trading involves significant risk and is not suitable for all investors. The decisions you make and the actions you take in trading are solely your responsibility. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Understand and acknowledge these risks before participating. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to talk about, of course, algo trading. But the first question is like, where do you start in algo trading? Like, how do you get started? How does all this work? Like, who can you trust? And can you really automate your trades? So many people ask us, oh, can I sign up for your trade signals? We don't have trade signals. We actually take the actual, like the automated was better than a trade signal as an actual automated order that you didn't have to manually put in. And then, of course, we're going to start with all of these questions with one of my favorites, which is how can you start small and minimize your risk? And how do you do that and scale over time? And the answer is funded account. So some of you guys may have never heard of funded account. Some of you have. So bear with me if you're familiar. But basically, what is a funded account? It's basically a prop firm that gives you access to their trading capital, right? So it gives you access to their trading capital. So what does that mean? Well, like how big are these accounts? Well, typically they're anywhere from $25,000 to $150,000 to trade with. Now, some of you may say, "Oh, that's great. I don't have 25,000. I don't have 150,000 laying around. Like I need some capital to start trading with, right?" And so this tool, Funded Account, solves that program. And just to be clear, we at Push Button Trading do not have our own funded account program, but we have a few that we're going to recommend and some of our absolute favorites we'll talk about here in just a few minutes. Okay. So don't email me saying, how do I get an account with your company? Because we don't have funded accounts. We used to years ago, not anymore. Okay. So then how does this work? Well, the idea is you grow the account, you hit a profit goal, but you have to do that without breaking the rules. And essentially, then what, Matt? Well, then you keep a large percentage of the profits without risking your own money. That's it. Simple. Thank you for joining. No, I'm kidding. It's a little more than that. So let's talk about the stages. So here's how this works is number one is you have what's called an evaluation stage, or some call it a challenge, or you have to kind of prove yourself, right? So the way this works is you pay like a one-time fee, let's say $95, to access anywhere from 25K to 150K of trading capital. Okay, anywhere from 25K to 150K of trading capital. And a lot of these funded accounts allow you to have multiple. So imagine multiple 50 or 150K accounts, not just one, but multiple. Okay. So then what are you going to do? Well, you're going to grow that account. You're going to hit the profit goal. You do have to stay within the loss limits and what they refer to as max drawdown limit. So what in the world is a max drawdown limit? Well, if you can imagine your account grows, but then you have a losing streak, right? And then it continues to grow. This right here is your drawdown, basically meaning your highest high down to your lowest low, your peak and your valley, right? And it just basically means like a series of losing trades in a row, right? Like one losing trade is fine, but you have a series of them. They refer to that as drawdown. And so the idea here is you grow the account without breaking the rule, and then you get to the next stage. But most prop firms don't have a time limit. So there's only one that I know of that now has a 30-day limit. Okay, and we'll show you some tools in a second that shows you why the 30-day limit is significantly more complicated than it sounds to get an account funded to hit your goal in a 30-day window. And of course, that is Apex Trader Funding. It's not a secret, but they do have a 30-day max rule. Which is why don't we recommend Apex anymore? We prefer Lucid Trading. That's kind of our favorite. So again, you go from this evaluation stage, you pass the challenge account, you hit that profit goal, and then you flip to the funded stage. Some groups call this the funded account or a PA performance account is what Apex calls them, a performance account. And basically you trade prop firm capital. It's not your own. Well, what's the advantage of not your own trading someone else's capital? Well, if you lose it or you lose a chunk, no big deal. You don't have to pay it back, right? And essentially what happens is they take the bigger financial risk. If you lose, you don't. So imagine losing $2,000 or $3,000 in an account that you only paid 90 or let's say $100, $150 for. You lose 2 or 3,000, right? So would you rather lose 90 or $150 or 2 or 3,000? Like that's the idea here, right? So it's a great place to learn and kind of get started. So they do, once you're in this stage, they do have strict rules for what they call daily loss limits. So your every account provider, whether it's Apex, Lucid, Top Step, ETF, Blue Nox, Blue Ski, like there's a lot of them out there. And the rule is as long as they support NinjaTrader, they will kind of, they'll be compatible with our software. So I'm curious for those of you who are just tuning in, what funded account programs have you heard of or are you familiar with? Go ahead and put it in the chat. What are some funded account programs that you're familiar with? I just want to make sure we got the right audience here. Okay, go ahead and type that into the chat pane. So TPT, what does TPT stand for? Apex, Lucid, yep, those are kind of been around, yep. Tradeify, yep, awesome. So you guys get it. So basically the idea, you break the rules, you lose the account, you start over, right? And then you're like, well, how do I make money, Matt? I grow this account, I blow it up, I got to start over. Well, that's number 3, which is getting paid. So the idea here is you hit your profit goal. And again, the caveat is without breaking a rule, without hitting your max drawdown limits. And then what you're going to do is you're going to request a payout to your bank account. Like, hey, send me $3,000 of my profits, right? So that's it. That's pretty simple, right? No, it's actually a little harder than it sounds, especially when you have a 30-day window to get it done. But basically the gist of it is most prop firms pay you 80 to 90% of your profits on a monthly or biweekly basis. Does that make sense? So I want to show you a couple examples. This is basically some certificates that our clients have done, and we get lots of these, but basically, hey, I got an account funded. Hey, I'm withdrawing some funds, right? That's basically it. They got funded and then they requested a payout. And so like, this is real. Some people say that this is a scam. It is not a scam. Of course, funded accounts are a real thing. It's just, they make it a lot more difficult than it needs to be, right? So then what? Okay, I start making payouts. Well, imagine using one single funded account. Let's say you pay 100 or 150 bucks for it. You use one single account. You withdraw $3,000. Then what? Now you got money to buy, guess what? More accounts. You guys see how you use the funded account as like seed money to grow it a little bit larger, right? You pull some money out and then you roll with it and keep adding accounts. Now, Lucid allows up to 5 accounts, so that's good. Apex allows up to 20, but the caveat is, of course, you have 20, a max of 20 accounts. The caveat being you have to be in and out and grow the account, hit the goal all within 30 days. So that makes it exponentially more difficult than it sounds. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. Use the account, grow it, and then you can sign up for multiple accounts, pull some money out, sign up for more accounts. You guys see how you can like bankroll this? You just start with a little bit and then you can start kind of accumulating. And so we've had, this isn't a regular, everyone can expect it, but we've literally had people get $6,000 and $7,000 payouts within the first 30 to 60 days of using our software. We'll talk about that in a minute. But again, just to recap, you basically are passing challenge accounts, you're pulling money out. And so we have a kind of a rule that we like to recommend, which is basically withdraw 50% of your gains. So like put some money in your pocket, maybe pay down some debts, maybe start saving for a rainy day. Maybe some of you guys who are younger, you can pay off some student loans or start saving for a down payment for a house, whatever you choose to do with it, right? And the idea is keep half, let it compound, let it snowball, and then take some out, right? So withdraw some of your profits. And that's kind of our in-house rule, because you want to associate trading and growing accounts and the whole program. You want to associate that with good things, right? Go on vacation, right? You don't want to associate trading with like trauma and pain and suffering. And that's what some of you guys have probably experienced so far. And hopefully we can kind of show you a better path here today. And then, of course, as you do this over time, is you're going to be adding more accounts. So then the next question is logical. It's like, okay, I understand funded accounts. I got it. You pay a one-time fee. Apex used to charge monthly. It's now a one-time fee. You pay a one-time fee. All of them, you grow an account a certain amount, and every funded account program and every account size has different rules, different requirements. So what I want to do is I want to jump into those size accounts requirements. And our favorite, of course, is Lucid. I mentioned that. So we're going to definitely do this and talk about the specifics. Yeah. So here's the question is, what size funded account do I need? And the answer is, it depends. So let's talk through specifically, this is Lucid. This is their $25,000 account. Their goal is $1,250. So you got to grow that $25,000 up to $26,250. That's your goal, okay? Now it sounds pretty simple, but the hard part is you can't lose $1,000, right? So you have to grow higher without losing $1,000, right? So without just losing $1,000. That's the idea, okay? And their current cost with the coupon that they have is $95, okay? So the idea here is that the account size grows, and what happens is the 50K account is $3,000. Again, this is not our funded account program. There's dozens of them out there. Again, as long as they work with NinjaTrader, this is fine. As long as they trade futures, this works with our systems. Okay. So again, 50K is probably my favorite, our company favorite. And the idea here is that this right here is almost like a 1-to-1 ratio, right? This is about a 1 to 1.5 ratio, right? Which means I got to grow, for every dollar I got to grow, I'm allowed to lose a little bit less, right? So then we look at the other two accounts, 100K and 150, and you'll see that this is now a 2-to-1 ratio. This is kind of a 2-to-1 ratio. So what that means is you got to go significantly farther, right? And so if you look at something like the 3 to 6K, and you're like, oh, I should be able, if I double this, I should be able to have 6K, and I double this, I should have 4K. Nope, you don't have 4K to lose, you have 3,000. Yep. Yep. So the idea here is that our 150K account and our 100K accounts are tempting to get into, but our personal / in-house favorites are going to be the 50K account. That is our personal favorite. So if you're here to take some notes, go ahead and grab a piece of paper and a pencil. I want you guys to write down some numbers because we're going to reference these. Again, these are one-time fees. You can take as long as you want with Lucid or Tradeovate. You can definitely take your time. You don't have to get it funded in 30 days or you risk starting all over from scratch. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about the some of the account rules, specifically, again, $50,000. Again, if you have a pencil and paper, I want you to write this down. This is Lucid, $50,000 account. You have to grow it $3,000. So I want you to write down the goal is $3,000. Okay. The trailing drawdown is $2,000. The daily loss limit is 1,000. So write this down. Account size 50,000. The goal is 3,000. The trailing drawdown, or how much you're allowed to lose, is basically $2,000. Okay. Now again, this account costs $130. Okay. So here's how this works. Now, how do I take trades, make some money, and get an account funded? How do I pass that first stage? And the answer is, it depends. So it depends on what size risk. So let's say I'm going to risk $100 and I'm using a 3-to-1 risk reward. You guys are familiar. So I'm going to risk $100 to make 300, right? That's a 1 to 3, right? So then the question is, how many trades how many trades do I need to be funded and hit my goal? And the answer is 10 winning trades. Yep. So 10 winning trades. So how did I come up with 10 winning trades? Well, $300 gain, and I need 10 of those to give me $3,000, which is my ultimate goal. Now, keep in mind, that's not 10 winning trades per se. It's a net positive 10 winning trades. So if you have, let's say you take 12 winning trades and you lose on some of those, right? It's a net positive with all your winners and your losers combined takes you to $3,000. Does that make sense? Satoshi, I'm not sure what your question is, Jay. Yes, that is correct. Some prop firms don't allow bot trading. Most of them do. Apex is kind of neutral. We don't recommend Apex anymore, anyways. So, yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Tradeify, take profit. Okay, awesome. So let's look at it from a different angle. Let's say, let's be a little more aggressive with our risk. Like, oh, 10 winning trades, that sounds like it's a lot. And it's not 10 in a row. It's a net positive of 10 winning trades. So imagine if I win $300, right? And then let's say I lose with it, I'm going to go back down to minus 100, right? So now my balance is 200. And then I win another 300, right? So now I'm up to 500. And that's how that goes. Just win, lose, win, lose. And as you can tell, even with 50-50 odds, when you're using a 3-to-1 risk reward ratio, guess what? It's always going to be stacked in your favor. Yep. And so, yes, Lucid does allow trading bots as well. So the idea here is, what if I'm using $100 of risk? Okay, we talked about it. What if you're using $250 of risk? And that is my favorite all-time thing to do is 50K account. I'm gonna risk $100 to $250 per trade, which means if I'm wrong, I lose 100 or 250. And again, I'm allowed to lose up to 2,000. So that gives me like some healthy wiggle room, right? And again, the 3-to-1 risk reward means I'm losing. When I lose 250. When I win 750. And then in that case, I only need 4 winning trades. Why is it just 4? Remember, it's not 4. Technically, it's a net positive of 4. So you take all your wins and your losses combined, net positive. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's talk about, well, if that's true, why would I just not max out everything and just do max risk? Well, keep in mind you can, like, go big or go home, right? But the problem is what? Those of you who have funded accounts, what is the problem with maxing out everything or trying to hit it big and just a few trades? What is the problem with that? Everyone's looking for shortcuts. And the problem is if you lose your account, you have to restart the evaluation. And of course, in this case, the prop firm absorbs a real loss, but you got to start over at 0. So you do not get to pass go or collect $100. That's a reference to an old board game. But the idea here is, again, you lose the account, you have to restart. Okay. So then you're like, okay, so if I break a rule, I have to start over. And that is true. You also have to pay the fee again or a reset fee. Sometimes reset fees are a little cheaper. But here's my question. Would you rather lose $130 on a 50K account or 2,000? What do you think is smarter? And obviously, if you have 10 of these attempts, you're still not at $2,000, right? Do you guys see how you can scale your funds, scale your money, and kind of like leverage other people's money? That's the idea here, okay? And again, a 50K account only costs $130, whereas a cash account is $2,000. If you lose 2,000, you're losing 2,000. What does that mean? Well, imagine if I put $50,000 real money, saving up for it, put it in an account like Interactive Brokers or like Schwab or any well-known broker you guys have heard of. If I lose $2,000, that's my $2,000 real money is gone, right? And what I'm saying is, if you're using a funded account and you lose $2,000, you're just out the $130. You're not out 2,000 real dollars. And that's really the power of funded accounts. Why? Because you can make cheap mistakes. You guys agree with that now? Is this making sense? You can make cheap mistakes. And the idea here is, of course, when you make cheap mistakes, they feel like a paper cut, right? How many of you guys know people who took some trade and they were stressed out of their mind because the trade started losing and they were using huge amount of risk and it was stressing them out? Well, if you're using someone else's money, do you think it's more or less stressful than using your own money? Go ahead and type that into the trade. Is it more or less stressful? Yeah. And so, Jenna, good question. Is a funded account with push button trading itself? So we support funded accounts. We do not have our own funded account. There's dozens of them out there. Yep. Great question. Okay. Let's see. Let's shift over. Do you guys want to see? Let's talk just briefly about why. Like most people try to do funded accounts. Those of you who've tried funded accounts, have you tried to manually trade those? So Adam, Jay, have you guys tried to force trades before? Right, we got a pretty good group today. Adam, Amar, Anthony, Danny, Eric, Greg, Tracy, Hassan, Israel, Jacqueline, got multiple J's, Jenna, Joshua, Moses, Richard, Sadiq, Samson, Sean, Sariq, Wesley. Do you guys have you ever tried to like make a trade happen? See, the problem, this is where most people get stuck, is the strategy isn't hard. It's the discipline, right? You're over trading, you're changing the size after you have a losing trade. You're going from, okay, I'm gonna risk $100 and then you start losing and you're like, now I'm gonna risk $500 to make up for it. And now you're down huge. And next thing you know, you blow up an account and you got to start all over, right? And so the idea here is that if you're violating those daily loss limits or you're deviating from the strategy, you're trading all kinds of, you're all over the place. That trailing drawdown rule for funded accounts, there's really two specific things that are very, very important when you use funded accounts. One is there's very rigid drawdown rules. You're only allowed to lose a certain amount. Okay. That's number one. Number two is you have to be flat or in cash at the end of the day. Most funded account programs that I'm familiar with that I've seen over the years, not every single one, but I would say 95% of them, you have to be flat at the end of the day, meaning you can't have any open trades at the end of the trading day, at the end of the trading session. Okay. Now that's very important when you try to use automated bots to trade and get accounts funded, right? It's very, 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 very important because you can't just take any old bot, put it on an account, and then hope it works in funded environment because the funded environment is very, very unique. Okay. So what I want to do, if you guys are okay with it, is I want to show you guys a live demo of some of our software tools and some of this, how this works. And you guys probably know that we actually have some trading software, some trading technology. And what I want to do is I want to do my best to explain it to you how it works. And we're going to jump into our software as I fire this up in the background real quick. And I want to show you some really cool software tools that we've built in-house. This is not something you could just build on your own with ChatGPT in an hour. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and you guys should be able to see my screen here in a second. And what I did was we've shifted into our own software tool that we've built, and we've been working on this for quite some time. And this is the push button portfolio, okay? And it includes a builder, an analyzer, and a live tracker. Those are the main kind of components, okay? So what I want to show you is how do you take those funded account rules that we were just talking about? So how do you take something like a $50,000 account with $2,000 of drawdown, and how do you decide, hey, if I have trading bots, there's multiple trading bots, how do I figure out which ones to use? That's an age-old question, right? Like, how do I know which ones to pick? And the answer is you don't really have to pick. You just input your details. You say, okay, I'm using a funded account, and you have either the end of day trailing or the trailing open equity. So this represents Apex's old model. The EOD trailing is pretty much what everyone else does now, including Apex. And you say I have a $50,000 account, $2,000 a max drawdown. If you guys wrote that down in your notes, and then you say I have a monthly target of $1,000 a month, and I want anywhere from 2 to 10 strategies. Create some portfolios for me. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to know that we've created some technology, some trading bots, and at the end of the day, what you'll see here is that we have. Can you guys see this number? We have a lot of strategies and a lot of pre-configured tools that allow you to automatically trade. Okay, so here's what we're looking at. On this right side is, if you guys can imagine, what does it say? 549. We're updating these all the time. My friend's like, Matt, I looked at this one day and I came back the next day and it's got 8 more or 10 more. And it's like, yeah, that automatically loads in the background. So the cool part is if you look at this, remember our requirements. What were our requirements? our requirements to start with were a $50,000 account, $2,000 of drawdown. And you'll probably know that we did risk anywhere from $100 to $250 of risk. And then what this is saying is, hey, this meets all of my requirements. You guys see this? Check, 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 check. So here's a question, ladies and gentlemen. How many possible combinations of 549 strategies, how many possible combinations can you mix and match? Think about that for a sec. Every possible combination of every possible combination, you got a bucket of 549. Well, at the end of the day, it's a big number, but at the end of the day, what you can do is you can think about it like this. And this just makes it super easy, is imagine reaching into a bucket full of marbles, and each marble represents a strategy, and you grab a handful. And you're looking at, hey, I like these blue and red ones. I like these specific ones, and you can mix and match, okay? Now, when you mix and match, there are literally hundreds of trillions. It's actually more than that, but it's a number, it would blow your mind. Lots, we'll just say lots and lots and lots of possible combinations, okay? So in this case, what we did is we picked, this is portfolio number one as an example, and it shows us right here some of our specific bot technology, what they're called, the name. And then in this case, I did specify that I want to use micros. So I'm going to just trade the smaller contracts, which, how do I know they're micros? Well, it says micro right there. But if I didn't know that, I'm looking for the 3-letter ticker, MYM, M2K, MGC, right? So M and Q, these are all futures related assets. So the cool part about all this is that I can now go from what are all the possible combinations, like, you know what, here's a couple suggestions, right? And I can look at each one of these and I can say, here's how much it makes monthly, historically going back about 4.5 years. So if you're curious, our data that we're using to model all this goes back to January of 2022. Now, you guys can probably imagine that that's a good almost 4.5 years. Here in a month or two would be 4.5 years. That's a pretty good, what we would consider in the software business, we would consider that to be a good sample size, right? So we're talking about thousands and thousands of trades. We're not running a simulation over a 1-week period and making a whole bunch of decisions based on a week ago. We're saying going back years and years, over multiple administrations, if you're in the US, multiple presidents in the White House, right? Multiple up and down market environments, tariffs, war in Iran, like lots of stuff's happened since January 2022, correct? Would you guys agree with that? So we're not like cherry picking a sample. We're just saying going back this far, going back a good 4.5 years, how well has this performed? And what you'll see here is these are the bot IDs that it's saying. And so once I'm happy with the portfolio, and we'll show you in a sec how to do all this. Once I'm happy with this, I can literally just go up here to the top and the right hand. Oops, here we go, right here. And I say send to the analyzer. What does that mean? Well, let's say I like this, and I'm going to now go into the analyzer. Now, if I don't like this, I can switch over to a different portfolio, and you'll see all of this individual strategies and the combinations. They're randomly generated, but they're scored. There's a scoring mechanism in the background that's sorted from high to low, okay? Now, the thing you might notice, because I'm only risking, remember, I'm only risking 100 to 250 per trade, like we talked about in our example, 150 to 250 per trade. And this would have made $86,000. Now, I'll show you here in a second, and then your max drawdown. Remember, your max was 2,000 was the most you can have, right? So I'll show you here in a second how well does this work in the funded account program. You guys want to see that? Because I'm sure some of you want to know, well, how often does it pass? How often does it fail? And we'll talk about all that. Now, keep in mind, each one of these, there's hundreds of trillions. We'll just use the word lot of different combinations, okay? So let me pick one of these here. Yeah, let's go with this one right here. Portfolio number 9, okay? So I'm going to send this. I can save this. We'll call this portfolio number 9. Or sorry, in this case, it got renamed. So we're going to send to the analyzer, okay? Now, how well does this work over time? Well, remember, we're going back 48 plus months, right? We're going back 48 months, and you can see how well the ups and downs of profit. And what you'll notice is, yes, there are some losing months, but that is to be expected. Now, what's crazy if this is your first month and you start in a losing month, what do you automatically assume? You assume this system is garbage. Matt, I should be able to buy Tesla at any price and automatically go up. And yes, I wish life was that simple. It's not always that simple, right? How many of you guys have bought Tesla and it went down or bought any stock and it went down like almost immediately? Yes, that's part of life. There's no way around that. You just have to get tough skin, thicker skin. Okay. And so ultimately, what we can do is we're able to look at the portfolio here and we're able to say, okay, how well would this have run in a funded account program? And I'm going to run a simulation. And so what this is showing is that I'm running continuous, basically a continuous ongoing model, and we're using 50,000, 2,000 of drawdown. You guys remember those numbers and my $3,000 profit target. Those numbers literally came from where? They came from what their account requirements were. Remember, we were talking about Lucid was a 50K account. You have a 3K goal. We'll call it the up, and a minus 2K down drawdown, right? And so what this is showing is that we have 25 passes, 26, and 0 fails, right? And then you're like, okay, how long does this take? Well, anywhere from 14 to 172 days. At the peak, we had 20 accounts going all at once. We've blown 0 PA accounts. Remember, the PA is the actual funded, right? And then we have 20 still active. And we have payout wise collected a few dollars. Now, obviously, you're like, Matt, that this is simulated. This isn't real. This is la la land. Well, this is actually really going back 4 years, over 4.5 year period. And it's showing you what we were looking at previously was one account. How does it work with one account, right? How does that work? The overview. How does this work with one account, right? How does it work with one account? And remember, part of your growth, you grow that first kind of challenge account, and then you have to grow a second account and then pull money out. So part of that money, this is a single account, 81,000, a single account. But what happens if you get 10, 20, 30 accounts, right? And then part of that, you have to pass the evaluation, okay? Now, what you'll see if I scroll down a little bit is you'll see how many got funded, how many got capped, and then ultimately how much money I was able to withdraw from an actual PA account. It shows my total payouts, my final balance, all kinds of really cool stuff, okay? You guys want to see something else that's pretty wild? Imagine I'm using the Apex 30-day, look at this, 96.2%. Imagine I'm using the Apex 30-day rule and I'm rerunning this portfolio. My 96% win rate gets just baseball bat to the knees. And this, ladies and gentlemen, tells you everything you need to know. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why we don't recommend Apex anymore. Because that 30-day window, where if it takes you 31 days, sorry, start all over. Even if you're $1 away from that goal, sorry, start all over and pay another fee, right? You guys can see how detrimental that could be, how demotivating, how dare I say infuriating that can be when you're taking something that has a pretty good track record and then you're saying, you know what, I'm going to add this little twist of a 30-day max and let's take a look at how well this performs when I add this extra twist. Now you're like, Matt, I don't really like funded accounts. I prefer cash accounts. We have a whole modeling system built in here. Don't have time to go through it, but if you have a cash account, you can run simulated models too. As you guys know, when it comes to cash accounts, you're never turned down for a payout. That's the advantage of a cash account. No one's going to say, sorry, Jay, you can't have your own money because it's your own money, right? Now, what we have a lot of clients do is they'll use the funded account, like I said, like seed money. And the idea is that's a starting place. Myself and my team, we all have both funded accounts and like cash accounts, right? We actually have a company brokerage account as well. And the idea here is that you can pull money out of a funded account, right? Whether it's Apex or whatever, pull money out, do some payout requests, get approved, take money, again, half of it, take half of your gains, do something fun with it, and leave half to compound and grow. And what you can do is when you pull that money out, you can now start saving for an actual cash account. So now you can use the funded account, again, as seed money to kind of start the snowball, take that money, grow it, pull it out, then start an actual cash account with somebody like Schwab or Interactive Brokers or any of that, right? So cash account, you can start with a small amount, but we recommend everyone, even if you're going to use a cash account, to start with the funded account just to start. Again, remember, if you make mistakes, these funded accounts are cheap mistakes. You want to think about a losing trade like a paper cut, not like a gouge to the arm. You're not losing an arm, because if so, if it feels like you're losing an appendage when you have a losing trade, what does that mean? It means you're trading too big, probably. Right, too much risk. Okay, so we can talk through all this. This does have some really cool AI insights if you guys want to see this. And so I can generate this AI report card. So what it's doing is it's taking whatever I've selected and it's running it through. I think I have OpenAI attached to mine, and it's going to give me a report here and give me a letter grade. And it's showing these. It's like a 6-point analysis of like what are the high win rate, the sharp, some of these nerd factors, and it's showing here that this is a B plus, right? And it's walking through the drawdown, the worst months, that kind of thing, right? And so you can read through all this. We don't have time to go through it all, but again, we have some AI built-in tools that help you make decisions. Okay. So if I was to flip back over here to the portfolio overview, there's a few that I want you guys just to touch on. Again, we have a free trial of this software. This software does not include the trading bots. This is like the planning tool. So we have a free trial of this software for 14 days. You guys want to download and play with this? Easy to do. I can give you the link here in a second. But what I want you to do is, for any of you guys who've ever used funded accounts before, I want you to think about what happens. Like most of you would probably be okay with what did this say for funding cuts? An extra. It's like you tell your spouse, your significant other, I found an extra $800,000 laying around, right? You're like, oh, that's cool. Would that make your day? Of course. But again, this is coming with 20 accounts over a period of 4.5 years. Still not bad, right? If you're spending $130 per account, it's pretty good return on investment. Okay. But here's what I want to show you is this is the core problem when you're using automated trading is how do you know when to stop? Like, how do you know with what you've picked just doesn't work anymore? And you can't look at, oh, it had a losing trade, because I had one of our students like, Matt, if the bot takes more than 2 losing trades in a row, I'm done. And I'm like, well, if we look at all of our analytics here, we refer to these as guardrails. If we look at all of our analytics, sometimes you might have a maximum consecutive of 13 losing trades, sorry. Right? So 13 losing trades and 9 winning trades. So obviously there's some guardrails, there's some boundaries that our back test has established, right? That if we violate those, yeah, of course, our system will actually tell you, hey bro, stop trading this. Like, this is kind of failing our thresholds. We've kind of broken our guardrails. And so for me, this is my actual live trading account. I just started running this portfolio the other day. It's up $1,000. And the cool part is you can ask this. There's AI insights too when you look at the live trading. Like, I go run a report card, I can ask questions to the AI system and get opinions on it. Okay. Now the live tracking, because it doesn't include the live bots, the live tracker isn't necessarily going to work with the free trial because you're not running live bots. If you're not running live bots, there's nothing to track live. Does that make sense? So what I want you guys to think about is most of you would probably be okay with an average, or most of you guys would probably be okay with, these are all the trades. There's 33 pages worth of trades, like the performance. We can look at it on a weekly, yearly, and you'll see not every week is profitable, but over time, remember, you shouldn't have to be too stressed about single months, but over time, still profitable. And then you can even go down to the day of the week and say, what does this look like on a day of the week basis? Meaning, well, in this case, this isn't our system, but this is the one out of hundreds of trillions I selected. You'll see that Monday and Tuesday are the best performing days of the week. Does that make sense? So the idea here is that we can look at all of these, and we can look at yearly, we can look at all kinds of things. And what you'll notice is, of course, 2026 looks like the lowest profit, but it's not over yet. As you guys know, we're still mid 2026. So again, the idea is you can look at how well these perform over time, how well they're correlated. If you have a pretty, robust kind of versatile, diverse, how well everything, so you're not all going all in on one asset versus the other. So anyways, this is just a quick preview of what this can do. We can overlay extra rules on top of this, but I just want to show you guys a little bit about how this works. And the cool part is I can literally look at some of these bots and I'm like, you know what, I really like this portfolio. I saved it, right? And we're going to call this the demo. So I'm going to call this the demo portfolio. Demo, right? And again, I'm only risking $100 to $250 per trade, and still to make 81,000 is pretty impressive. But then if I can do that times 20 or even times 5, that's still impressive for a $130 account, and I have 20 of those. That's still pretty impressive. You're like, well, Matt, what happens if I blow up an account? Even throw in, like, you guys think you can blow up some accounts if you withdraw, if you have an $81,000 profit? Now times 20 or times 5, do you guys think you can afford some blow ups? See, most people look at blown funded accounts as failure of the system. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you it is a mathematical probability that at some point you will blow an account, which is okay. Remember, you've withdrawn a ton of money and you keep running. You get another account, you start over, you keep running, right? Does that make sense? And so the idea here is you decide how much risk you want to take. The tools will make some suggestions for you, and then you go from there. You can use this to pass an Apex account in a day if you wanted. You just got to really level up your risk, and it comes down to whether one trade wins or loses, and you absolutely can do that. Don't recommend that. Yep. Sorry, Jay. Lucid allows 5 funded accounts. Apex allows 20. Yep. So even with 5 accounts. The other thing that we have is kind of like, here's an updated of where are we at in the market trend for, we're currently bullish, kind of normal volatility, the volatility index, the VIX. And so you guys can see, and then I have one active portfolio right now. And you'll see that I have some saved portfolios, including the demo is kind of set up here, right? So my one live portfolio, I'm going to run it a week, so I don't have tons of trades in there to make any robust decisions just yet. But as we saw, it was up, what, $1,000 or something just in a week. Again, I'm not doing anything. I'm turning these on. I'm enabling these, okay? So here's what I'm going to show you. This is pretty simple. This is how this works is I'm going to go into my demo and we're going to go back into analyze this one more time. And I'm going to show you how simple it is because this is a tool that we built that stands alone and works kind of in conjunction with NinjaTrader, okay? You're not looking at NinjaTrader, you're looking at our own custom software, okay? Now I can, of course, take this portfolio, I can make some changes. I can click X's on the right and kind of pull off some settings or add some new, I'm sorry, not settings, but I can pull off some bots, add some new bots. And it really depends on when you're doing this, if you're looking at even the manual trader, what is important to you? Do you want max, like if you're a very emotional trader, you probably want the minimum drawdown as possible. If you're a gung-ho, gunslinger and you just want as fast as possible, as much money as possible, you have to be able to stomach and manage more risk. You can't just shoot from the hip and then wonder why you miss all the time, right? That's part of it. It's just how life is. And so what I'm going to show you is if I was to pop into this portfolio and I was to analyze the demo, I'm going to show you guys how simple and easy it is to launch a bot. So here's how this works. These numbers on the left are basically the numbers. These represent a bot configuration, okay? It tells you mega snapback on the M&Q, mega orb, M2K, the volume bot, right? You guys can see that. So the idea here is that I'm loading, these are the bots that I want to use and I want to run live, okay? I'm going to show you how quick it is to go ahead and load this. And I'm curious how many, I have to load these one at a time. We haven't figured out how NinjaTrader to do this, but I'm going to show you how we can use our pre-configured templates to load these really quick. And I'm curious, out of the, six strategies I have here, remember I chose between 2 and 10 was my criteria. And for a $50,000 account, how long do you think it would take to enable one of these 6 bots? How long do you think it'd take? Because I have to do it manually, unfortunately, because that's how NinjaTrader is. So you guys ready? Let's go ahead and let's jump into it. So what we're looking at right now is this is NinjaTrader, and you'll see that I have all these running. I'll disable these. And so let's go ahead and launch a new strategy. It's pretty simple. This is the NinjaTrader software. It's free to download. There's a couple different options across the top. In this case, I'm going to click on strategies here at the bottom. And my very first one I want to enable, I'm going to go to a new strategy, and then I'm going to go to push button, and I'm going to go down here to the mega snapback. And remember, what was the number I wanted to load? Bot number 59. So now I'm going to go find number 59 on M&Q. Boom. And then I can run this in a sim account. I can run this in my actual account. And then what else do I want to do? I want to pick M&Q. So M&Q. Oops, M in Q for the futures, and I think we're in June. Yep. So click OK. Boom. There's my mega snapback M in Q, and now I enable it. Boom, ready to go. That's basically how quick it is, right, to launch a bot. And in this case, we're looking at 6 of them, so I just repeat this process 6 times. Now, if you're wondering, hey Matt, why did these have numbers and the others don't? The one I just launched didn't, and that's because I renamed it manually so I can keep up with it, right? I can give it the number at the beginning so I can figure out which one's running and which one's which. So basically, that's just like my own organization system, so to speak, right? Is this making sense? So what I want to do again is just kind of give you guys a rundown. We can spend hours and hours and hours going through the software, how the AI tools work, and how to mix and match, and how to do all kinds of things, troubleshooting, all kinds of things. But ladies and gentlemen, this is basically the basic overview of our brand new tools that we literally just came out with less than 30 days ago. Been troubleshooting, and we built a couple new tips and tricks, and we release this all the time. The cool part is that every time you log in, it automatically updates itself. So you're not having to download, reinstall, restart. Everything is loaded here for this portfolio builder and analyzer. And so if you're interested in a free trial, let me know and I can send you guys the link. But basically, the builder and analyzer piece is part of the free trial. The actual live trading piece, we've not yet released for like free to use for free. The reason is we've had long story, but we've had people try to use our free trial to get accounts funded to make money and use up our resources as a free, ask tons of questions and kind of use up all of our resources, and they were a free trial. So we're welcome. We're okay to help you guys, but we can't dedicate all of our effort and energy to our free trials. So anyways, that's long story short, why the free trial allows a builder and analyzer. Is there a VPS attached to your account? In this account, yes, I'm running this on a VPS. That is optional. You guys can see I'm running this on my VPS, and I like Chart VPS is who I use. Yep. Yep. Let's see. What is them? Let's see. I'm trying to go back. Do we miss any questions? Can I start with only one strategy instead of a full portfolio? Yes, you can. But Jay, the catch though is most companies out there who have a single bot, you kind of live and die by what that bot does. And every bot works in a very specific market condition and not others. So instead of, if you think of it this way, if you think of like, there's no like piece of clothing that works in all weather conditions, right? Like short sleeves are for warmer weather, long sleeves and a coat are for colder weather. There's no like one size fits all market conditions. There's nothing like that. So that's why if you use one bot, you can it's the same kind of scenario, but you're not taking advantage of the benefits of using a portfolio where it's the best of both worlds, if that makes sense. Because you can have, like, I've had some bots that like 3 that are losing and then 5 that are winning, and the ones that are winning far outrun the one that's losing, right? And so what a lot of people do is they'll say, hey, what worked last week? I'm just going to run that. Well, that's probably not the smartest way to do that. Why? Because last week is like this week's going to be different than last week, right? So what we're trying to do is look at a sample size. Again, sometimes I don't know if this shows the number of trades, but this is 33 pages of trades, right? And you'll see that how far they're dated. And let's go to the most recent one. Should be March or April, I believe. Yeah. Boom. There you go. So April. Yeah. So and we're into just earlier last week. Yep. So anyways, the idea here, and you'll see the cumulative balance. Again, the idea here is that you can use the builder and analyzer to build a portfolio. Lots of suggestions. You can build one manually. And so we have different software tools that help you define specific rules for Apex or Lucid. Again, we are big fans of Lucid, but that's kind of that's it. So give me a sec. Are you able to use a trade copier to add more accounts for more profits? Sorry. Yep. Um, a trade copier. So yeah. So you can use it. We actually have our own trade copier. That's not that obviously that's part of the live trading part, not the builder. This is like these two buttons are kind of like your planning tools if you think of it that way. So you don't need a trade copier for the planning tools, right? Can you send the free trial? Sure. Yep. Um, let's see. Join late. I didn't know you had a free trial, or is it limited to full functionality? How long is it for? So Peter, it's not the. So yeah, I'll send you a link. Yep. Yep. One sec. I want a free trial. So I got an anonymous attendee ask for a free trial. I'm not sure how to respond. Yep. Yep. So tell you what, let's put this. We'll get the links here and put it in the chat here. One sec. Um, so someone has there's a bunch of questions. Let me see. Free trial. Okay. Send me free trial link. Yep. It does. Similar to my stock portfolio. Yep. Um, uh, so how much manual trading knowledge do I need before I use your system? Um, you want to be knowledgeable, but the problem is you're always going to be learning. Like I look at life as you're always going to be learning. Yep. And by the way, whoever, I can't pronounce your name, but um, you said that we'll take your money, which is kind of crazy because you don't give us your money. You put money into a funded account and you grow that, but that's fine. And the trial is for 14 days. Yep. So, Tracy, can we go ahead and put that free trial in? Yep. Put that in the chat here real quick. Yep. Awesome. So answer that. Let's see what other questions. Free trial. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let me let's shift real quick. We can spend hours talking about all this, which is we can. You guys probably want to know, hey, where do I go from here? I love it. Let's get into that. So really, once we've done our live demo, so basically there's two options here. We do have a option one is like you plan first. Again, we have a free trial. It is 14 days, so you guys should be able to see my screen. And so the idea is that you are able to jump in and get a 14-day trial. You can start with the free portfolio builder. It's actually the builder and the analyzer. You can build a portfolio, stress test it in the analyzer, and then you're able to understand what you're doing. Again, that doesn't cost anything. Pretty inexpensive to use, right? It's like you definitely get your money's worth out of the free trial. Haha, as a joke. I got to throw dad jokes in at some point. So there's the trial link. Yep. And then finally, for those of you who are like, hey, I want more than the planner. I want to actually try out the system. We do have a brand new thing we just started doing like a week or two ago. Got a handful of people already started in it. And it's basically like a bot workshop. So we're basically including the portfolio builder analyzer and all of the trading bots along with our step-by-step videos for 30 days of guided education. And you're able to go from zero to live trading. And so the idea here is if you want to test drive the full suite of the bots, the portfolio builder, analyze all of that for 30 days, that's what this is. Now, I will tell you that as we looked at our simulations, we looked at all of the models, there might be some times where you lose in a month. That doesn't mean the system is flawed. It just means sometimes you do have to take an occasional losing month. And what's rough is, of course, if your first month you're losing, right? If the first month has a little bit of a down month. But as you guys all know, no matter any stock you buy, always can go down. It doesn't mean the stock is worthless. Doesn't mean the stock is a scam. It just means sometimes you don't get in at the exact right spot. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I have for you guys. If you're interested in any of our technology, anything, our new webinars, we have a list of webinars that are always coming up. I think this was like our 10th one this year, maybe something like that. We usually do them every other week. So that's that. Let me go back to some of these questions. Yeah, link for the free trial is in the chat. Yep. And then there's the link for the workshop. So I'll go back to this in case you guys want to see the two options again side by side. The free trial, obviously 14 days. You play with it. You're limited to the builder and the analyzer. If you want to unlock the bots themselves, $199 one time for 30 days. You can try it out and go from there. If I'm not using VBS, do I leave the machine running all day long, Jay? Yes, the answer is yes, you would need to. You absolutely can do that. I don't recommend you do it on a laptop if you move the laptop a lot. Like if you close it down and head into your work or your office, wherever, I don't recommend you run on a laptop if the laptop is on and off a lot. If you have a desktop computer that has a pretty good internet connection, that would be like the next best thing. Yep. 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 So yeah, and that's basically what I have for you guys. Please let me know if you have any questions. My name is Matt DeLong. Here is my email if you're interested, matt@pushbuttentrading.co. And of course, I will answer your questions as best I can. And our website is pushbuttentrading.co. If you want to find out more information about us, how we work, we always have free classes going on. But that's what I have for you guys. I'll go ahead and pause for any other questions, and we can go from there. So is the bots just for future trading? So yes and no, Wesley. Great question. So the portfolio and analyzer and a lot of our tools and simulations are modeled on futures accounts, period. Can you use it on your own and trade stocks? Yes, but we don't have like all those pre-configured settings and strategies built around like Tesla or AMD, Microsoft, whatever your favorite stock is. So it's 99% geared towards funded accounts and futures trading for funded account and cash accounts. Yep. So it does it execute on crypto. So Sadiq, it's basically whatever is yeah, so as long as it trades on NinjaTrader, there is MBT as a ticker. It's a futures contract for Bitcoin. And some fund account providers allow you to trade that, some don't, but that is out there as an option. So not trading crypto directly as much as the futures contract of crypto. So kind of indirectly, yep. Does the projections include the projections builder analyze include the commission? Absolutely. You probably didn't see one, but there's one who had like I think $8,000 in commission. So that's absolutely taken into account. It's a great question. That's someone who's in the know. Yep. How much unlock after the trial version expires? So Joshua, the free trial. So what we recommend is you go from move from the free trial. If you like it enough, move into to this version. Yeah. So that's kind of how that works. Yep. Wow, some great questions. Got some good feedback. Yep. Okay, I think we got all the questions. You guys have any other questions? Let us know. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I got for you. Again, my name is Matt DeLong. If you have any questions, matt@pushbuttentrading.co. And yeah, you only got the PDF in the free trial. I'm not sure what that means. I don't think there is a PDF. I'm not sure what PDF you're talking about. But Jay, reach out to matt@pushbuttentrading.co. I'll see if I can help you. Where is the software? I think you may have signed up for the ebook then, Jay, not the actual free. I'm guessing that's what you did. Yep. Cool. So yeah, let me just fire off the trial one more time, the link for the trial. Hang on one sec. So if you go up here to start free trial, this is it right here. So this link. Oh, so you did the ebook as my guess. You didn't do the actual trial. So yeah, let me send that to you here one last time in our chat. So you guys have it. There you go. That is the ebook. Again, the free trial costs nothing. The 30-day system again is $199, and then from there we kind of talk about what the options are going forward. But that's what I have for you guys. I appreciate it. Can you use $199 offer each month? Yeah, we don't have anyone doing that, but you're not the first person to ask that, Peter. So yeah, we're open to that. Absolutely. Cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate it as always. And remember that it's not about well, you don't have to win every trade. You don't have to win every time. You have to win overtime. Hope you guys enjoy this and have a good evening.